welcome back to the Scale with Joy Summit. I am here with Lauren Golden of The Free Mama. Hey, Lauren.
Hey, I'm so excited.
I know, we had so much fun banter before this video started. I was like, all right, stop, we have to start recording. So Lauren, just share with our audience a little bit about your background and what keeps you busy today.
Totally. So like you said, my name is Lauren Golden. I'm the founder of The Free Mama and the Free Mama movement. And I help moms ditch the 9-to-5 to start home-based businesses and live a totally awesome, and here's the key, guilt-free life.
Yes.
I love what I do. So I'm so excited about this summit because I have built my business imperfectly, as we do, which I think is actually an important part of being able to build a business, is knowing that it's not going to be perfect. But I am one of those nauseating people that really, I never work a day in my life. I really do love what I do. And it's funny because just yesterday I saw one of those posts of if you won the lottery tomorrow, what would you do? And I'm like, the exact same thing I'm doing now. And I think that's super powerful. So I'm excited to share with everybody what got me to this part. But I live outside of Houston, Texas. I live in Katy with my beautiful family, if I do say so myself. My husband, I have 3 children, 7, 5, and 2. And that is how I spend about 50% of my time is chasing toddlers. And then the other 50% I spend on my business. And that takes a lot of different forms. I work with women in a lot of different ways, but it kind of keeps things interesting. I get to dabble in different things that bring me joy. So
that's so awesome. So we were chatting a little bit beforehand, and a lot of what you teach is how to overcome these fears and doubts and live your truth and just be so honest and authentic. So how has that helped you in, you think, growing this incredible business that you have?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because my business is a baby, probably compared to a lot of the other people in this summit. I mean, this evolution of it is less than 2 years old. So it's a baby. It's grown very fast, but I never had that Shark Tank idea. I've always been very entrepreneurial since I was little. I was selling, through the golf course, golf balls back to the golfers who hit them in my yard. So I've always kind of had that instinct and that drive. I always worked as a teenager, even though I didn't necessarily have to. I've always had that drive and ambition inside of me. And I've always been please, universe, just help me invent something or give me this amazing idea. But actually the process at 23 to 25 years old of getting married, trying to get pregnant for over a year, and then finally becoming a mother really was the catalyst for my business. And what that looked like for me was that I grew up with a stay-at-home mom, and I always thought that would be my future. But a few things happened when I became a parent. The first was that I realized that I do love working. I like, using my brain in a different way than I do as a mother. I'm ambitious. I like to achieve. I like to make money. I don't think money is bad. I like to make money. It allows me to do stuff. So I had this revelation, but then when my son was born 2 years later, I had this second kind of aha moment that the traditional 9-to-5 was not allowing me to show up as the mom that I wanted to be. And so I didn't know what it looked like at the time. I didn't know how it would be manifested or become profitable, but I set out on my own free mama journey. I'm the original free mom. Set out on my own free mama journey where I realized that we all have skills. We all have talents, and they're things that if you can think about it in the right way, that other people will pay you for. Because we think about it, we're consuming stuff all the time, whether it's products or services. And so I fell into the world of freelancing, and I realized that I could do a lot of the stuff I did at my 9-to-5 job as a contract worker and actually make more money. And so we can go into the nitty gritty if you want, but long story short, I quit my job, I started doing it, and it came, my business, the way that I serve people really came from my own belief system that as moms, we shouldn't have to choose between our family and financial stability. And so the business was almost like an end result from this mission of okay, I've achieved this thing where I get to be at home and I get to figure out who I work with and how much I charge. And I want every mom to know that this is possible. If you want to be a stay-at-home mom, that is brilliant. If you want to lean in and climb the corporate ladder, girl, go for it. But where was the gray area? And there wasn't anybody that I found talking about it. And I'm like, this is it. This is my platform, just to show people what they could do if it's something that they want for themselves and their family.
I love that. So inspiring. So I'm so glad the audience knows that they're talking to the OG here. Free mama, which is so good. And I do like
branding's on point, right?
yeah, totally. And you know, like I have that experience too, where like you'll meet the preschool moms and they're like, oh my gosh, I was at work until 8 last night and they're really struggling. And I just think it like I'm the one that's like, oh, I wonder what else you could do with your talents and your skills. Like, and you're probably the one who says it. You're probably the one who's like, girl,
yep. And here's the thing. And I think, and you've probably had experiences like this in your business too. You know, we go in with all the like, who's your avatar? What's your ideal client? What's your offer? All these like kind of textbook things, which are very important. Don't get me wrong. Like that, these are foundational principles. But what I soon realized was there were a lot more people responding to my message than I originally thought. Because when I first started my business, I was talking to that former version of myself, that mom who felt like she was trapped at her job and she only saw her kids at night when she was stressed out and had to do dinner and had to do bath and had to do laundry in that short amount of time, only to wake up and do it all over again. That's who all of my messaging was targeting. What I soon realized was there was a whole slew of military moms who couldn't keep a job because they were moving every 2 years.
Right.
Or stay-at-home moms who maybe they didn't have the same financial necessity, like maybe they weren't trying to go back to work, but they became a mother same way I wanted to be a mom, but then they kind of realized I miss something else. I miss the person I was before I was a mom and the goals that I had and the stuff I wanted to do. And it's not that they don't love their kids or they don't love their role as a stay-at-home mom, but they're not seeking cash. They're seeking a different level of fulfillment and purpose. And so it's really, honestly, I feel so grateful. And I know that there's been a lot of intention and I've worked my tail off and all of that, but I think there is a little bit of divine intervention as well, because I just feel so fortunate that this thing that I felt so strongly has resonated with so many other women. It gives me goosebumps. It fills me with so much happiness and honor and humility that I get to, lead these women into their free mama journey. So
yeah. And it's so funny because like people say to me, should you go for the market opportunity or should you go with what's on your heart? And I'm always like, it's kind of both, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like you found this group of people who needed help in a way that was already on your heart and already part of you and was already just kind of buried deep down. And I think to a certain degree, so many of us have that. Like, what do people come to you for naturally, right? Yeah. A lot of our audience members are already in business and they're scaling. And one of the things you really advocate is how to surround yourself with the right people, like the team and community and members. And you say you're the majority shareholder in your life and business. So how does that kind of shown up for you as you've been growing and scaling your business?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm a baby, I'm a baby entrepreneur. I'm a seasoned freelancer. I'm a baby entrepreneur. But to go from literally zero to $1 million in a year and a half, I'm very proud of that. And so how do we grow from there? Well, how do you go from 0 to 6K, 6K to $1 million? All these evolutions of business look so very different. And I believe that anybody on their own could make 6 figures with the right strategies, the right discipline, I think is a really important word, right time management, the right tools, mentors. It really is accessible to more people than we would believe. It's not our skills or ability that gets in the way a lot of times. It's our mindset, right?
Totally.
So, but going from 6 figures to $1 million looks very different. And I am not in a place where I can tell you what it looks like to get to the 8-figure mark, but maybe we could do another recap in a few years.
I'll see you this spring. Yeah.
Right. Dare to dream. But yeah, it's surrounding yourself with the right people. So I am a huge advocate, and it's so funny because I actually I should have clarified this. I did not seek out to be a coach. That was not where I was heading. I wanted to create a program. And I do have a program. I have an online course. It is my years of experience, and it's not just a business program. It is made for moms. I do talk about parenting and taking care of your house and all of these things because there are challenges that come in when you go from working outside the home to working at home, or not working at all and then working at home. Again, that discipline word shows up. But for me, the biggest difference between 0 to 6 figures was having the right mentor. And when I choose a business coach, I look for 2 things. I look for fit, do we vibe? Am I going to get along with this person? Is the energy? Because you can tell pretty quickly with people, you find your people, right? We jumped on this call, Laura, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm obsessed with you.
We're already planning a family get together.
Yes, you feel the energy. So that's the first thing. The second thing is from 0 to 6 figures. You have to find the person who's done it before. Now, not everybody believes this. Some people believe that you can just teach what you've learned, not what you've done. When I look for a mentor, I want to know that they have walked personally the exact path that I'm walking down. It's a really important factor for me personally. And so that's what I did. That was the first business coach that I hired. It was terrifying. It was to the tune of like a private university education. It was not small. It was not something that was presently sitting in my bank account. But for me, it lit a fire of like, well, you can't not do this now. Like you're all in here. And so it really made me show up in a different way. And it provided not just the accountability, because I'm a go-getter. And I'm guessing a lot of the people taking the time to listen to these interviews are go-getters. But to have that roadmap, to have that sounding board, to have that person who believes in you in those moments where the mindset maybe isn't super on point and you're doubting yourself, and they're reminding you who you are. No, you got this. They're checking you on any negativity, any stuff that gets in your way. To me, that is one of the most powerful resources. And now that I've had a business coach, I really can't imagine not having someone in that role in my life indefinitely. I just think it's so valuable. So that's one thing. The second thing that kind of switched gears in my business from 6 figures to $1 million is team. I am a time management junkie. We all have superpowers, I believe. Freelancing is actually not my superpower, nor is coaching. My superpower is time management. I'm one of the most productive, efficient human beings you will ever meet. It actually drives some people crazy because I make it look kind of easy because it's my superpower. But I love to outsource, and I have very high standards. I am a recovering perfectionist. And so I do like things to be a certain way, a certain, level of awesomeness. That is my expectation. But I believe, by stepping into the role of the right leader and letting go of some control, you can accomplish so much more in your business if you stop trying to do it all by yourself. And to the theme of your summit, which is amazing, this is how I've been able to grow from nothing to over $1 million in revenue in such a short amount of time without hating my business it's because I don't even do close to all of it. Like not even a little bit. Like I just show up in the roles that I have to show up, and I trust and empower my team to carry the rest of it with me.
Yes. And they do a great job. And whenever I was training my managers in my own organization, I would always say, if they're not doing it your way, but it's not wrong, walk away. Just walk. Just like, if it's not wrong, meaning like there's not going to be any obvious negative outcome other than you just wouldn't do it that way. Like peace out, and it's hard, but I think that's always such a good filter for people. So beforehand, we were talking about you growing your business, right? Mm-hmm. And we were talking about people. This is what I'm like, oh gosh, I can't wait to talk about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone who's listening, like just hit that volume button, pick it up right now. Cause this is something I'm dying to talk about. When you were growing and people were saying, Lauren, you've got to do this, whatever it is. You have to do this. You're at this level now. Mm-hmm. This is what you need to be investing in. This is the direction you need to be taking your business. You were saying that like you were really heart checking that. And I don't know to the degree to which you actually took the advice or started to go down the path and changed. But as you were heart checking that, you're like, great, but like, is that going to make this fun and joyful?
Yeah.
So many times, the more you have to lose, and I know this was true for me, the more it was so easy to just all of a sudden ingest what other people were telling us was the path. So do you mind speaking to that for a minute?
Totally. So this is fresh, y'all. We'll just go there. This has been my year 2. So year 1 was fast. I accomplished a lot of goals. And if I'm honest, I accomplished a lot of stuff in 2018. I didn't really know if I'd achieve in my whole life. And so it was a lot very, very quickly. I published a book. I built this program. I hit all of these financial goals. And so then I was kind of looking for okay, well, shoot, I'm kind of out of goals right now, in a really good way, but also a really scary way, because if you don't know what your goals are, if you don't have that clarity, there's a lot of room for other people to influence you.
Yes, and so it becomes a vacuum.
And so obviously the financial goals were obvious. It's well, I'm ambitious, and we all have a little ego. So I'm like, cool. Well, we've made $1 million. Now we make $2 million. Like, how do we did 7 figures. How do we do 8 figures? And that's great. And it's not bad, but again, without that roadmap of like, I want to achieve this, or this is what I want my business or my life to look like, you don't have a path. And so I've really found myself over this last 6 to 8 months, like really kind of wandering, because I do surround myself with mentors. I join masterminds, which I don't think is bad. I think the higher you grow in business, the harder it actually is to find people who are at your level, because there are fewer people at your level. And what's the saying, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend most time with, whatever that is. And so I'm mindful of that. I don't want to stay where I'm at. I want to continue to grow, and I want to continue to serve more people. So what does that look like? Well, for Lauren in 2019, it looked like joining new masterminds, trying to connect with other entrepreneurs. What happens with that is a whole slew of new ideas. And so if you combine my lack of direction, right? Because I'm like, I down all these goals, and I'm like, I don't really know what's next. Like, what's next for other people? And I'm kind of looking around and I'm myself, and then all of their ideas. It was kind of a recipe, not for disaster by any means, but there's been a lot of this year, as opposed to like, I know where I'm going, right? Yeah. And so what I have now that I'm aware of that, what my takeaway has been is that, and this is what you asked me about earlier, is that you have to be the CEO of your business, like not just literally on paper, but also figuratively. You have to have that majority stake shareholder mentality in your business. And so yes, surround yourself with community. Yes, surround yourself in masterminds and with coaches, but ultimately everything has to run through your filter. And that's what I wasn't doing earlier this year. So the tangible example is, okay, I have this, my program is $1,000. I have some other offshoot stuff, but my kind of most expensive thing at the time was $1,000. And everyone's like, cool, you got to scale your value ladder up. Like, if you want to make more money, scale your value ladder up. That's what everyone was telling me. Do a high ticket offer, do high ticket coaching, all that. That's what 100% of the feedback I got said, go do this thing. And what I've and so and to your question, yes, I did go down the path. So it's hard to reconcile with like, oh my gosh, I feel like I lost time, or I wasted energy. And I guess technically I did, but I don't like to look at it that way because of what I've learned from it, right? Like, I've learned, cool, I'm an action taker, I move quickly, but what I need to focus on because of that is taking a moment to pause and run things through my filter. Cool, I heard your idea. That's a great idea. Does it resonate with me? Does it resonate with my values? Is the work required of that going to fit in alignment with what I want my life to look like, which is what we spoke about earlier? And for me personally, the reality is the idea of doing one-on-one stresses me out. Not because of the relationship. I think it is the greatest way to truly change someone's life is to work with them on that intimate level. However, it's not in alignment with what I want my calendar to look like. It's not in alignment with the accessibility that I want to have to individuals, because my goal and what excites me, I love the marketing. I'm a total nerd. So I want to be like geeking out in software, running my own Facebook ads, which I do still do. I outsource them for a brief amount of time. I realized I'm too much of a control freak.
I've outsourced and taken them back so many times, but yes.
But what I realized is it actually brings me joy. I really, it's like the one thing I don't outsource. My client care is outsourced. My social media is outsourced. My bookkeeping's out. Like, I have so many amazing people helping me, but it brings me joy and I'm really good at it. So I want to keep focusing on that. I've realized this year I love doing events. I love going and getting out of my house, taking my PJs off for once. I work from home and I teach other people to work from home, and nothing replaces that in real life connection. I love doing events. I love speaking. Like, I love these things. I love getting on a Facebook Live and talking to 1,000 people all at once. That gets me excited. The idea of doing one-on-one, it's not that when I'm in the moment, I don't enjoy it, but when I look at my calendar and how I spend my time, it's not in alignment for me. And so I look at, because I have this huge whiteboard, as a lot of entrepreneurs do, and I look at the things that I go, oh my gosh, yeah, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do this and this. That is a really big sign from the universe that that's probably where you should be spending a lot more of your time. Right. The things that pop up on your calendar or your to-do list that you're like, oh gosh, not this again. Like, you should maybe consider outsourcing that thing. Or in my case with the one-on-one coaching, eliminating it altogether.
Yep.
I don't have to do that because that's how other people are scaling. There's plenty of examples of people making $1 million with a $47 a month membership. So you know what I mean? It's like, it's what is in alignment with what you want. But to your point earlier too, Laura, I think this is important. Yes, you to be happy in your business, you have to do what brings you joy for sure. And there has to be a market for it. It really is both. Yes. And what's really great about the audience I've built is the things that get me hyped up. I have a lot of pressure from my audience on that end. So I feel good about it. I know my community is going to feel good about it. And it just feels good. And so if it feels good, I feel like that's kind of the universe. That's your gut check, right? It's, yeah, cool. This is going to be great. And maybe it'll take me another year to hit the $2 million versus 6 months if I did high-end coaching, but peaceful profits. I'm going to be so much happier in my everyday life. And so I'm not going to burn out. I'm not going to be resentful. I'm not going to spoil my relationships with my family and my friends. And I think that's exactly what this summit is all about. And so it's been a very painful 6-month realization that and a lot of deviating from maybe what would have brought me joy. But I'm grateful for the experience because I feel a lot more clarity in myself as an entrepreneur.
And you just helped a whole bunch of other people with that story.
I hope so. Oh my goodness.
Cool. It's a lot of times we go through these experiences and we're sort of living like lone wolf style, right? We're like, oh, that was tough, or, I've got to bury that down. What I love about what you're doing is you're sharing it and a bunch of other people, because I feel like we're doing a bunch of seven-figure spoiler alerts right now. But I just feel like that's what we're doing, right? Because as you grow your business, what you're going to find is that there's going to be people who kind of get started, and then you're sort of, a lot of people listening might be in the middle of that bell curve, right? But then as you get closer to that long tail, where it's less common. I was quoted in Forbes like a long time ago as 3% of women who grow their businesses over 7 figures. Now that number has probably gotten bigger as online businesses have grown, but at the time it was a very small percentage, right? So that might have been, 7 or 8 years ago. So, so you're getting into this smaller, narrow path, and it's almost a little bit easier to get diverted there because you have fewer people to model and you have fewer people to coach you. And I had the same experience. I just feel like this is such a great moment for people where not only just you should go in this kind of business now that you've got, a 7-figure scaling operation, but also, and I think a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I should do that because it sounds good, but is it true here? Right. And it's like you get into these masterminds and they're like, oh, you come see us, 3 times in a row for 5 days each. And you're like, I have kids. Yeah. I don't know if you've had that too, but I'm like,
well, this has been my year of travel, and then next year it's like pause. So there's seasons, right? I think something I want to add, and this is true at every level. I think there are so many misconceptions that when I hit 6 figures, things will be good.
Yes.
When I hit $1 million, things will be good. And so you mentioned like the spoiler alert of this. Here's what I say. And I say this to my moms that I'm working with who are looking for their very first client. When I get my first client, when I'm making $2,000 a month, when I quit my job, when I, no, stop. This is my spoiler, and it's not going to feel good. So everybody just buckle up.
Yeah.
There is no struggle-free life. There is no struggle-free life.
Yeah.
What's really awesome, though, about earning more money or creating a lifestyle where you have more flexibility or control over your schedule or your work or your pricing or all of these things is that the kind of struggle you have evolves. And so it's not better or worse, it's just different. But if you're sitting there thinking, when I hit this goal, I won't have this problem anymore, you might not, but you will open up a new problem. And again, it's not that these are bad, but they're new challenges and they're new opportunities. It's so cheesy, but they're new opportunities for growth, and they really are. And I can't tell you how many women I've worked with that, they're like, they think their biggest challenge is landing their first client. This is my biggest challenge. And then all of a sudden they're like, how do I raise my pricing? How do I break up with a client? How do I learn this new thing? How do I do that? And I'm like, oh, and you thought finding a client was going to be your biggest challenge. Like that was just the beginning. And so I think if you can just shift your mindset that factually there is no struggle-free life, like that just, it doesn't exist, but to look at it as like, it's not that it's a bad thing. It might feel like a problem in the moment, but it really is an opportunity for you to grow better, stronger, more secure, which has been my personal growth this year. Is like, I feel so much more confident in what I know and what I want and what I'm good at than I probably ever have in my life. And don't, like, there were growing pains. There were times where this learning felt painful. But I'm so grateful for it now, rather than, when my business has scaled and more people do know and more people are watching and more people are, paying attention to my brand. I'm glad that I could kind of go through these wiggle moments now where I can really be confident about who I am and where I'm going.
So good. It's such great advice. I mean, I'm so happy that you're sharing this, because one thing I always like to share is, like, as in addition to that, is like, if you can manage your mind now, like, the sooner you can learn to manage your mind. If you can manage your mind at 4 figures or 5 figures, it's easier to manage your mind at 6 figures or 7 figures. So if you're like, this is taking a while, like, be grateful, because now you just have more time to manage your mind before the stakes get higher, right?
Yeah. And I will say one person that I still continue to meet with regularly is a mindset coach. And I get to work with him through my business coach that I first joined with a few years ago. And he is one of my greatest assets. And what's so interesting about that is we don't talk about business strategy at all. It is literally just what's showing up for you, what's going on. And so it's an ongoing thing. I don't think you just master your mindset one day and you're like, I'm good now. Like, I'm positive forever. Like, there's always going to be new doubts and insecurities. Like, I remember the very first time I did a Facebook Live, I peed my pants. I mean, I literally was probably like holding my legs together, like so nervous. And this was 2 years ago. Like, this is not like a lifetime ago. Like, I was so nervous I could have vomited, seriously. And now I don't even think about it. I mean, it literally doesn't even cross my mind. And so I think, but there's new things that I'm afraid of, or that make me uncomfortable. And so it's an evolution. You will grow. And so your challenges will grow and your struggles will grow. What do they say? Like, more money, more problems.
Right?
There's a little bit of truth in that.
I mean, we're rapping, we're spoiler alerts. Like, people are getting a totally, like, more than they probably
realize. The most professional of all of your interviews.
There's been a lot of really
like it is.
Moments. Really
good.
Fun. So
good. Well, I like to keep it. I just like to keep it real, and this is how I am with my community. When I mess up, or when I deviate, when I announce something and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. I am the first person to show up in my community and own it, because I think there's so much power in leading by example, and especially being in the online marketing world. And I'm sure that you see this as well, and a lot of the other entrepreneurs in this summit and the people watching, there's so much smoke being blown out there, through ads. And I made $1 million in a day and I did here's the deal. I noodled on my idea. It festered in my mind, in my soul, in my body, not knowing what it looked like for years. For years, I didn't know what it was. And finally I had the light bulb. I'm going to do a program. I hired my coach, and then it was fast. Right. But anybody saying, I made 6 figures in a month. Cool. How long did you work on that idea? How many ideas failed before that idea took off?
Or what work did you bring in to that idea?
Right, exactly. Yeah, or what if that was profit? I mean, we can do that too. And don't get me wrong, I spend a lot of money on team and ads and all of these things, but I do it intentionally, knowing that means that I don't have to show up all the time every day. I can let the internet work for me so that I can go be with my family. So my choices are intentional, but there's a lot of millionaires out there who only made 10 grand, because of their expenses. So I just say that to encourage you not to get swept up in what you see online. Find people who are being honest. This summit is such a great resource for you guys, because it's kind of the like lift under the rug that we don't really see a lot of times in the like polished marketing online. So
yes. And we're so blessed because we have such like-minded speakers. Like you were saying, like, is this what you'd be so, I think you're going to be so overjoyed. And I think everyone in the summit so overjoyed with how authentic our speakers are. And you were chosen because I knew you were going to tell an amazing story, and you did, and you shared your heart. And I'm just so grateful. And if people want to get to know you more, so under this video is some more information about how they can connect with you and learn from you. So just make sure that you go ahead and check that out. And Lauren, is there anything that you wanted to add to that?
I just think what has been my kind of guiding light with entrepreneurship in general, and if you check out my book at some point, I think this quote is in there no less than like 10 times. But it's Henry Ford. It's whether you think you can, think you cannot, you're right. I just think those words are so powerful. I am a mom that lives in the suburbs and works on her computer. Like, I am not special. I'm really not. But I worked really hard. I surrounded myself with the right people. I was intentional. I said no to certain things so that I could say yes to my business and my clients and my family. And I know it's so cheesy, but if I can create this lifestyle and this kind of business, it's there for the taking. It's there for you, but you have to believe that it's possible, and then do the steps and do the work to actually get there.
So awesome. All right. So make sure you check out Lauren's offer underneath this video. Make sure you follow her on social media. She's so inspiring. And thank you so much for being here.